Hello, thanks for dropping by. Today we wanted to introduce our new strop and our two new stropping waxes. So let's start with the strop. Our strop has been developed over quite a long time now. We use European beech because it's very stable. It can remain flat. We adhere kangaroo leather grain side up one side and kangaroo leather flesh side up the other side. Now, this strop doesn't have a handle, as you can see. It's designed to work on the bench as you would use a sharpening stone. It's the same size as a Shapton stone, so it fits in a Shapton plastic case, or you can just mount it on your bench with a couple of stops to hold it in place. We don't use a handle because of this reason. A lot of people use a strop this way. They'll wipe it across the blade like this, and you can see the action, to me, is prone to rounding off that nice edge we've got from our sharpening stones. Strops are only used for two reasons: to polish a blade after you've sharpened it, or to touch up a blade that's been dulled slightly from use. So what is used on the strop, you can use it plain without any strop wax or compound, but our compound that we use is developed with two types of grit, and they are 0.5 microns, which is our finest one, and that grit, 0.5 micron, is equal to 60,000 grit. This is 8,000, this goes to 60,000, so it's very, very fine. It won't sharpen your blade, but it certainly will polish your blade. It only really works after your blade has been sharpened, as I say. Our other grit is 1 micron aluminium oxide, which is 14,000 grit. So that's the two levels we have of grit. Now we like to use it similarly to as you would if you're doing plain blades. Pull the blade towards you, mount it in the position so it's the same angle that you've honed it to from the stone, and just wipe it back. You can push forward, but it's prone to cutting the leather, so we just like to wipe it back. And that will polish that micro bevel beautifully. And you'll get a nice shine on the micro bevel. Now you can also do the back of the blade. We also should do the back of the blade like this. This will move it back and forward. It's got two methods here. One is to polish the back. I like to lift a little bit so that you make sure you're on the edge. Remember, we don't cut with the back of the blade, we cut with the edge. So lifting a little bit so it's just off the surface, we get right on the edge there. Not too much, we cut the leather again. And that'll sharpen or polish that back edge here. It's also very handy for taking off a wire. As you know, as we sharpen both sides, the backs and the front, we'll produce a wire or a burr on one side, and this stropping system can be used to remove that wire. So the other side is the flesh side. So the main reason both leathers work about the same, to be honest. Maybe this is a bit coarser this side, but it's negligible, I think, in use. So the main reason we have flesh side and grain side is to enable you to differentiate between the waxes you use. So if you put the 14,000 grit on this side and the 60,000 grit on this side, you'll then remember next time that this is your sort of 14,000 grit side, this is your 60,000 grit side. Or you can put 60,000 grit on this side and nothing on this leather side and still use it that way. So you remember the barber with his strop. So that's how it works. These are the two strop paste or compounds, waxes. They're manufactured with a small amount of beeswax, aluminium oxide grit, 0.5 micron and 1 micron, and also we use white mineral oil to bind them, which is pharmaceutical quality, so it's very safe to use. The paste will keep the leather supple when it's not in use, but many woodworkers would use this a few times during a day. If you find that your blade is just dulling a bit as you're using it, remove it from the tool and go on here. You can also sharpen chisels, of course, or polish them, and also knives. Again, just pull that blade towards yourself and you'll find that you'll get a really nice polish along the edge. I don't know if you can see it or not, but it's got a really nice polish along that edge. It certainly polishes blades, and I think the polishing effect does two things. It keeps the cutting edge keen, but it also, being polished, it also seems to cut the friction when you're planing or when you're using a chisel or when you're cutting with a knife, particularly a chef's knife, and it seems to cut even better through lack of friction. So that's the strop process. Thank you.